Hello everyone, I hope you are doing great. I hope you are all in good health and you are all staying home and not taking any chances, okay? So I had so many technical difficulties, but hey, I'm trying to do my best in order to do something, okay? So this is my first attempt to make a video of our first grammar lesson, which is about conditional sentences, okay? So let's start it. First, what is a conditional sentence? A conditional sentence is a sentence that contains a condition and a result. When the condition is fulfilled, the result takes place, which means if we have the condition, we have the result. If we don't have the condition, then hey, there is no result, okay? The conditional sentence is made of two parts, and those two parts are called clauses. The first clause is called a conditional clause or an if clause. So this is the clause, the part which contains the word if, and in this clause we have the condition, okay? The second part is the main clause. We can also call it an independent clause, and in this one we have the result, okay? So two parts, conditional clause plus a main clause. Example, if I save enough money, I will buy a new computer. So the first part is a conditional clause. We have the word if there. So if I save enough money, okay? Second part, that's the main clause. I will buy a new computer. So we call it a main clause, an independent clause, because it can be used as a sentence with a meaning and a complete sentence, okay? The order of the two clauses is not very important, as can be seen in the second example. I'm not starting with the conditional clause but with the main clause, so it's the same meaning, okay? I will buy a new computer if I save enough money, okay? So how many types of conditional sentences do we have? So in fact we have 1, 2, 3 and 4 types of conditional sentences. So type 0, type 1, type 2 and type 3. Type 0 is used to talk about a general scientific truth, something which is always true. So we use this type of conditional when we talk about something that we know is always true, okay? So the verbs in the if clause and the main clause are both in simple present. So we use simple present for the main clause and for the conditional clause, okay? The word if can be replaced with when. So this is just specific to conditional type 0. We could use if or we could replace it with when, okay? Example, if water is heated to 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. Or we can say when water is heated to 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. If you take a fish out of water, it dies. Or when you take a fish out of water, it dies. Again, this is specific to conditional type 0, so we could use if or when. Conditional type 1 or the real conditional. Why do we call it the real conditional? It's because it's used to talk about something which is possible to happen in the future. So we have a condition and we can have a result. It's possible to happen in the future, okay? So in the if clause, the verb is in simple present, while in the main clause we use the future with will, and the form is will plus infinitive, okay? Examples, if you walk in the rain, you will get wet. If you eat unhealthy food, you will get obese. Khalid will get good marks if he works hard. So we are talking about things that are possible to happen in the future. Now, conditional type 2, it's the we may say it's the opposite of conditional type 1, simply because it can be used in an imaginary situation to talk about something that's most probably not going to happen. So we said conditional type 1, we talk about something that may happen in the future, so it's possible to happen. But for conditional type 2, we talk about something which we are almost sure it's not going to happen okay, at all. So the verb for conditional type 2, the verb in the if clause is in simple past, while in the main clause we use this form, would plus infinitive. So simple past for the if clause, would plus infinitive for the main clause. Here are two examples. If I were you, I would work harder to get better marks. If I had money, I would buy a big yacht. So in these two examples, we know the two things we are talking about are not very probable, so probably they're not going to happen. Okay, so let's move on to conditional type 3, and this one is used to express regret. What does this mean? So something happened in the past, someone regrets it, and this someone may imagine a different situation, but in the end nothing can be changed. Okay, so the verb in the if clause is in the past perfect. If you remember the form of the past perfect, it's had plus past participle, or hadn't plus past participle of the verb. So the main clause, we use this form, so would have plus past participle of the verb. Okay, so here are some examples of conditional type 3, and remember, it's used to express regret, when we regret doing or not doing something in the past. So number one, if the student had worked harder last year, he would have succeeded. So we know, last year the student didn't work hard, so as a result he did not succeed, but here we just express regret. The man wouldn't have had an accident if he had driven his car slowly. Again, just regret. Millions of people wouldn't have died if the world wars hadn't taken place. Again, so the important point is we use conditional type 3 just to express regret. Okay, so past perfect for the if clause, would have plus past participle for the main clause. Sorry. So we have two exercises we can work on. Okay, the first one is pretty simple. Okay, so just have 6 sentences, and you need to decide, based on what we have just learned, you need to decide, is it conditional type 1, type 2, or type 3? While exercise number 2, it requires more efforts, more work. Okay, so we have some sentences, you need to complete those sentences, deciding which type of conditional sentences should we use. Should we be using type 1, type 2, or type 3? And to correct those exercises, okay, so we will have time to do the exercises, and I'm thinking of making another video just in which we correct those exercises, and then you could compare your answers to the ones that I will be having in the upcoming video, inshallah. Okay, so this is it. This is our first lesson. Again, I hope you are all fine without exception, and stay safe. Peace.